Oh, we are live. All right. Hey, everybody. It's the Baseball Guys, Jim and Larry. Welcome to the Baseball Guys podcast. There goes Pete. Woo! And today we're going to talk a little bit about a subject that is not near and dear to my heart because it's kind of a stain on Major League Baseball, and that's the steroid era. Now, Jim, we were talking earlier about what do you say? There's no really defined
Yeah.
uh, time, but what are we talking about? Starting in about
Well,
what,
you,
94?
yeah. So I'm reading 94 to 2004, although I do believe that it was going on before 94.
Right.
Um, baseball, baseball didn't check it, and I think that look, I, I was telling you once before about as a Mets fan, I remember when Lenny Dykstra went to the Phillies and then one off season, he and Darren Dalton came back to spring training completely pumped, and
Right.
anybody with a brain could look at these guys and know what they were doing. But
Right.
the steroid era, it's not really clearly defined what those years were. But the name culprits that most of us that follow baseball know, of course,
Mhm.
is Mark McGwire, Sammy Sosa, whose corked bat went busted open once, and you could see all the cork flying out of it. It was amazing.
Yeah.
Barry Bonds, Alex Rodriguez, Jose Canseco, Manny Ramirez, even Ivan Pudge Rodriguez, Gary Sheffield, and Ken Caminetti. And that they were just some of the good hitters turned great hitters, most likely, of course, allegedly because of the juicing. But what I find really interesting is, and I think you could put Roger Clemens in that mix, right? Even though he's a pitcher. But what I
Right.
find really interesting is some of those pitchers that you were telling me about before. That it's amazing what they did. The clean ones.
Yeah. Well, first of all, going back to Caminiti admitted that in 1996 when he won the
You did.
MVP award,
Yep.
yeah, he said he was doing steroids then. Then McGuire admitted in 2010 that he had used steroids. He used the term on and off for a 10-year period, over
Yep.
that
Yep.
decade, including in '98 when he broke Roger Maris's single season home run record. But yeah, the pitchers that I look at during that era that succeeded, I mean, they were just head and shoulders above most guys. Were Greg Maddux,
Yep.
Pedro Martinez, and Randy
Yep.
Johnson.
Yep.
Yeah, I looked at some stats from '97 to 2002. Maddox ERA averaged around 2.70, and this is after he'd
Mhm.
been in big leagues for 10 years already.
Yeah.
Pedro was a little younger, but from '97 to 2002, Pedro's ERA was around 2.20 for an average. And then, of course, Randy Johnson, his was about 2.40 from '99 to 2002. He won four straight. A lot of people forget that, perhaps, that he won four straight Cy Youngs
Yeah.
during the period. I mean, that's tough to do. To win a Cy,
Dominating.
yeah, you've got to have like your career year, and nobody else can have their career year. Same with MVP. But to win those two awards multiple times, yeah, you're just dominating. You know.
Yeah. He really did. And I'm not going to ask you
Go
really how
ahead.
you feel about the whole thing. I
Right.
I think me personally think that some of these guys that I mentioned earlier, this Ken, maybe not Ken Sekel, but the McGuires and the Barry Bonds, Alex Rodriguez, these guys should be in the Hall of Fame. And the reason I say that is because Bud Selig and MLB, they turned a blind eye to this. They knew what the hell was going on. Everybody knows they knew what was going on. Remember, we were coming out of the 94 strike season. Attendance was down. There were people really ticked off, including my brother-in-law, Ken, that loves baseball. He refused to go see a game. And
Right.
they needed to do something to juice it up, right? And so they knew what was going on. And the slogan at the time was "Chicks love the long ball." That was in the stands. People were holding up the signs. Chicks love the long ball. And they were pumping out home runs at a prodigious rate. And so that's why and they didn't implement league-wide testing, by the way, for steroids or anything really until what, 2003?
Something like that.
So
Yeah.
so how can you penalize these guys for not even breaking baseball rules?
Okay.
Now
Well,
you could say
two things. They knew it
Mhm.
was wrong. First of all, they knew it was wrong.
That's true. It's
Now,
true.
secondly, we've talked about this before. Who do you consider the home run king, all-time home run king?
Oh, Henry Aaron, no doubt.
Okay, but it's not. It's Barry Bonds.
Yeah, yes, you're
Because on the
right.
one hand, you think Bonds should be in the
Yeah,
Hall of Fame, but on the other hand, you don't
yeah.
acknowledge him as the home run king.
Well,
That's
Bonds
like
already.
saying, "Well,
Yeah,
honey, I didn't mean it." Not you, but a player saying, "Well, honey, I didn't mean it. I was drunk at the time." You know,
yeah.
I mean, they knew it was wrong.
It was, but see, then you're talking a moral. It's a moral issue. Yes, I agree with you. Morally, it was wrong, but they didn't break any rules. Really, they didn't. So I mean, I feel the same way about Pete Rose. I think Pete Rose is the hit king. And I don't think he is. He is the hit king,
Right,
and
right.
they're penalizing this guy. And what they're going to do is wait till he's dead, and then they'll put him in the Hall of Fame one day. So
Is he
put
not
him in the
feeling
Hall of
well?
Fame where
Is Pete
what?
not feeling well?
Well, I'm just saying he's an old, I'm an old man. He's older. He's what, in his 80s now? I mean, let's face it.
Gotcha.
This
Gotcha.
guy bet on baseball as a manager for his team to win, not lose, and never bet on baseball as a player. We're not putting Pete was not that good of a manager, by the way. He's not trying to get into the Hall of Fame as a manager, but he should
Right.
be in there as a player.
So you're sure he never bet? You're sure he never bet
No, I'm
on
not
getting
sure. Who
paid as
is?
a player?
Who
I
could
mean,
say they're
he
sure?
had several chances to make it
Well,
right. Not several, but a couple of
yeah,
chances to make it right.
yeah,
But he just kept lying about it, and
yeah.
I'm not saying that
But
exempt him. You
look,
know,
is Ty Cobb in the Hall of Fame?
I believe he was one of
All
the
right.
first inductees.
So Ty Cobb was not exactly a great person, great human being. We're not
Right.
putting Boy Scout. We're not saying who was a great individual, moral character, and all that
Because
stuff. We're not.
when you look at the criteria for the Hall of Fame, there is no like code or creed as to what
That's right.
type of person you had to be.
Right.
So I mean, yeah, I can see arguments for both sides of that.
Yeah.
Rose especially.
Yeah.
But yeah, the whole
Rose.
story. At the time when Jose Canseco came forward, with the book Juiced,
June
he
2005.
did
Yeah.
did some interviews, and he said he thought that as many as 80% of major
Yeah.
league ball players were
Yeah.
using steroids at the time. Now,
Yeah.
whether or not you choose to believe Jose Canseco is a matter of opinion too. But
Yeah.
yeah, we were talking about, with a 26-man roster, I think the guys that were like the 25th or the 27th guy on that roster. And if let's say 60 or 70% of the guys are using steroids, and you have to compete with them, you're going to be tempted to
Sure.
use, these guys that, we talked about Barry Bonds. I saw clips of Barry Bonds. He weighed 165 pounds and he was hitting balls 440 feet. So
Yeah.
did he need to do steroids?
Well, there's the question, and the answer to me is no.
Right.
It took him to that next level, yes, but it's also cost him dearly. So, look, let's not be naive. First of all, I don't think I wouldn't believe anything, most of what Canseco says. Okay, that's number one. Number two,
Are we
right?
are we liable
you
for
really-
any statements we make?
What's that?
Are we liable for any statements we make? Because
Yeah, I don't
we had
care.
a couple
Whatever.
names. Yeah, I know.
It's opinion. This is all opinion, right?
Right.
Unless we say, hey, this is a stat, then we're talking opinion. We're two guys talking baseball. That's all it is. So
Right.
when you look back at other teams, now me as a Met fan, I love the 86 Mets. But are you kidding me? These guys were hopped up on who knows what. They were doing cocaine, amphetamines, you name it. These guys were
amphetamines were big, back in that time.
Yes. So here's one I want to give you. This is something I found. This is crazy. All right. In 1889, Larry, you know who Pud Galvin was?
Oh, sure, Pud Galvin. I think we
Galvin.
went to the same high school.
Yeah, there you go. So in 1889, this guy used a testosterone supplement derived from the testicles of live animals like pigs and guinea pigs. Okay. That's what he did in
Wait a
1889.
minute. Testicles of guinea pigs?
Guinea pigs. Yeah. Okay. Don't ask me who grabbed the guinea pig by the short hairs. I have no idea how they got that.
Well, I
Don't
could
ask
throw a
me.
few names out there, but I'm not going to do it.
Yeah. So then this one was I found very interesting. Babe Ruth once administered to himself an injection of an extract from sheep testicles. Okay. It only made him sick. And then had to come out of the lineup. So the Yankees PR team said that Babe Ruth had a bellyache. He was sick. Well, he also ate 100 hot dogs at a time. But
yeah, well, that combination of sheep testicle and hot dogs, no, that's not a good mix.
There you go. And then this last one.
Yeah.
This is last one. I read this. This is, and I had read this before. In World War II, many soldiers were given amphetamines.
Oh yeah. Well, the German army ran on methamphetamine. I mean, they perfected it. Those guys could fight for like 3 straight days.
Yeah. So I mean, this would be naive to think that this wasn't going on a long time before that. Do you know who Tom House is?
And, well, there's not one Nazi in the Baseball Hall of Fame, though. So there you go. That's proof positive.
There you go. There you go. Do you remember Tom House?
Oh, sure, yeah. Caught the home run that
he caught in the bullpen. Yeah, he caught the ball. He was
He also was instrumental in teaching Nolan Ryan the curveball, if I'm not mistaken.
Was he really?
Yeah, which was a pretty good curveball.
So that's another whole podcast on great players your favorite team let get away.
Oh boy, yeah.
Nolan Ryan was a New York Met in '69 when they won the World Series.
Yeah, he won game 5? Went like
I don't remember, but he did. Yeah, he was so wild in those days that in batting practice, the other Met players didn't even want to get in the box against him because they thought that he was going to hit him. So look. I don't know, man. This thing's been going on for a long time. There's still cheaters out there. There's just less. It's just like less likely they're going to get away with it now,
right?
Because of the testing, and that's good. I wish, and I don't think baseball is even close to being the only sport that's done this.
Right.
Other sports have cheated. There's no question. So I got a few more stats for you if you're interested.
Yeah.
So yes, I'm interested.
Oh, I can't wait.
From 1961 to 1993, okay, just 3 players ever hit the 50 homer mark in 32 years, okay, from 61 to 93. In 1996, McGwire hit 52 and led baseball, despite missing a lot of time from an injury. I believe that was the year he was traded from Oakland to St. Louis, okay, but he's hit 52. In 97, both McGwire and Griffey were going back and forth, threatening Roger Maris's 61 mark. McGwire finished with 58, Griffey with 56. Okay. And by the way, just a side note, nobody's ever accused Ken Griffey Jr. of juicing. And I think he had a great career clean from what we all know. But in 97, okay, 13 players hit 40 plus home runs.
Yeah. That's when it became more obvious that not only were the players juiced, but perhaps the ball was a little bit.
That too. It was wound tight, they said. And then check this out.
Seams are smaller. And
3 years later, in 2001, Barry Bonds blasted 73 home runs. Now, what I found most amazing when I was looking at his stat line, Larry, he had 156 total hits that year. 156. 73 of them were home runs. That's almost 50%.
I wonder how many walks he had. I bet he had.
Oh, he had like over, I think it was 154. I didn't write that. Yeah, he had about 154 home run walks. Yeah. Crazy. Just crazy stuff, And this is another one that I found amazing. Before he hit 73 in 2001, he never had even one season where he topped 50.
Yeah.
How does this happen?
Yeah, anything over 40 is just a tremendous year. Yeah, but to hit 50 or 60 and then reach the 70 mark. I mean, granted, there were guys when you mentioned Griffey, I thought about the fact that there were a couple of guys, and if you like a player more than, somebody else, there were players who used steroids to recover from injuries too. It wasn't just building muscle mass. It was also, getting back in
But that
alignment.
should have been, but that should have been doctor prescribed in those situations.
Right.
Should
And
have
I
been.
think, yeah. And I think in a few instances, it probably was, whether it was legal or not. And of course, against the rules or not, I'm not sure. But yeah, uh, I can think of a
Yeah.
couple of players offhand
Yeah.
that used it for in that.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not sure about the doctors involved, but yeah. But yeah, I mean,
It's-
it was obvious at that time that guys were. I remember seeing an interview with Canseco early on, and he said, "If anybody thinks I'm cheating, come with me, while I do my workout." So he's he's pumping iron big time, and that had a lot to do with it. But to deny you're doing it. And I don't know if you saw the congressional hearings where they brought McGuire and Sammy. So,
yeah.
a week before, you see Sammy Sosa in a Pepsi commercial, and he's just speaking fluent English. Then he goes towards he goes in front of Congress, and all of a sudden, no hablo inglés. That was
Yeah.
kind
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
kind of
Yeah.
messed up.
Yeah. Yeah. It's nuts. I mean, last thing on Bonds I'll mention here is in 2001, he
Hmm.
reached the 500 career mark. That's a milestone by anybody's stretch of the
Right.
imagination. However, the very next year, he hit the 600 milestone.
Wow.
Come on. Come on.
Yeah.
So you hit 500 in '01, you hit 600, you reach 600 in '02. How does that happen? That's no accident.
But again, I go back to I'm I'm not. I guess I am arguing the fact that should he be in the Hall of Fame? I mean, you just pointed out incidents, whether or not baseball was complicit. I just being like a purist, and I know you are to whatever degree, old school purist baseball. I just don't. And it's an argument that'll go on because it's up to the Baseball Writers Association, and there's going to be people. There's guys in there that guys like George Brett came for, or whoever. And there was one guy who would never vote a guy in. He wouldn't vote for him in the first round because nobody should be a unanimous selection. Thank goodness I don't even know that guy's name, but thank goodness he's not involved anymore.
Yeah.
That's you're going to vote. Okay, Babe Ruth. Oh no, because no one should be unanimous. Anyway, I'm kind of getting down a rabbit trail there, but yeah, I mean, we go back, and it's going to be a discussion that's going to go on, and as long as baseball's around, is should these guys be allowed in the Hall of Fame? And it
Yeah.
keeps us talking. So
Yeah, it does. It does. And I think I am a baseball purist, and we'll talk in a future podcast. You and I will talk. We've already done a little bit of that on the rule changes and and stats, and when you have guys that juiced or you change rules, how that affects the stats, and is that fair? Is that not fair, and whatnot. I don't
yeah,
like messing with the game. I think it's the greatest game. I understand what MLB has done to try to speed the game up a little bit, but we'll get into that more of another time. But I don't like messing with the game, and so that
no,
bothers me with the steroids. That
no,
does bother me with the steroids, Larry. But
no,
again, I'm not naive enough to know to not realize that before the steroids there was something else, like amphetamines. Before that, there was something else. You have an intimate knowledge of the some of those great Yankee teams. I've read stories about how Mickey Mantle would game time, day game. That's another thing. Not many day games anymore. Would he'd
right,
still be hungover or maybe even drunk when the game starts.
right,
So guys have been doing stuff for a long time.
right. Yeah, and probably will continue to, skirt the rules whenever possible. But
Yeah.
what's the current status of testing for steroids in the major leagues? Do you know? Because I don't.
Well, I don't really know. I do know that they instituted the league-wide testing in '03. To my knowledge, they're still doing it. I think that evolves as new drugs become known and evolve.
Yeah,
That they want to, and they want to add to the
I do
testing
know that they test in the minor
process.
leagues because they can test the minor leaguers because they're not in a union. So I'm sure
Yeah,
the baseball players union is all over that as far as
yeah,
what they're doing with
yeah,
major leaguers. Yeah,
yeah.
and
I think
because it all revolves around money. That's the root of
absolutely.
so many kinds of evil. But one of them is that when you're paying these guys the huge salaries, and now beer's $14 and
Yeah,
parking 40. So,
right, right.
but
So
even
the
with
average,
steroids, this thing, the whole thing with that is basically, you're trying to make a living. Again, I point to the fact that it was those guys, that are the 26th or 27th man, just trying to remain in the major leagues, that to compete
and
with guys who are doing steroids.
yeah, and part of us can understand that. We get it. All right. It
Right,
doesn't make it right. Doesn't make it right though. All right.
right,
So there's all kinds of ways that I could cheat in my business. There's things I could do. But I choose to not do those because I want to look myself in the mirror and I want to sleep at night. That's all. I
right,
mean, and I guess I don't have to be as big as the biggest players in my industry, and I probably never will be. That's fine.
right,
I just want to have a nice company that we can pay the bills and retire one day. I don't need to cheat to do that.
right. So
So
just to be clear,
mhm.
you said you want to be able to look yourself in the mirror and go to sleep at night. So
Yeah, both of those.
you,
Yeah.
you have a mirror on the ceiling in your bedroom? Is that what you're saying?
Now you're getting personal.
Okay, sorry, but you know me. I'm a
Yeah.
personal kind of guy.
So let's
Well,
keep
that's
this
another thing.
podcast
You talk about cheating. Now look at pitchers. For years, well, the spitball was legal, but when it came to guys cutting the ball and using a substance or whatever it might be, that was cheating. And maybe not
sure.
like to the degree of steroids or corking your bat, but still,
Right, right, right.
his thing was,
Yeah,
if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying. So
right. Well, yeah, I guess. Hey, and sorry for me having to mute a bunch of times there. My rambunctious dog here won't leave me alone, and she's at my feet. So when she was making a little noise, I muted.
is that
But
what that was?
I
No,
I
I
think
didn't.
you didn't hear it. Okay, good. So I think this is about all the time we have. I think we're about
Okay,
to
we're taking
wrap.
it down. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm looking. I keep my eye on the clock there. We don't want to bore people. Both of them. We don't want to bore our two listeners out there too
Yeah, we
long.
don't want we don't want because they're in the same car driving now. We don't want
So yeah. So listen, I think this is a good conversation, Larry, and it's one that uh, you could have in a million different ways, and everybody has an opinion on it. But my vote is for these guys the ones that had the stats to justify it. I'm not talking about the Ken Caminiti's of the world because he didn't have a
right,
Hall of Fame career, but the
right.
ones, certainly most of those guys that I mentioned, including Ivan Rodriguez, these guys should be in the Hall of Fame, and we should stop the nonsense and just let's move on.
Well, I think Rodriguez, he's in the Hall of Fame, isn't he?
Is he in the Hall?
I'm
Pudge?
pretty sure he is. We'll check it out. We'll
Because
see. But I thought he was,
he's been accused of juicing, So
well, accused is one thing. I tell you,
yeah,
anybody who,
but like you said, when you're accused, some of those writers don't vote for you, so you don't make it in.
right. Okay,
Yet,
so
yet,
that'll be something for you listeners to research. We want to know if Pudge
there
Rodriguez
you
is in.
go. I will look
I'll
I
tell
will
you
look it
what
up
though,
as
that
well.
guy used to catch day games, night games in
He was
Texas when
amazing.
it was over hot. Oh my gosh, I don't know
Maybe
how he did that.
maybe the only catcher that I would put above him in my lifetime was Johnny Bench. This guy,
Right.
Pudge Rodriguez, was just a great player.
Yeah.
But then what do the voters, the writers do? Then they write in and they put Harold Baines into the Hall of Fame. When that happened, I said to myself, this is a joke. Sorry. Nothing against Harold Baines. Great man, I guess. Good numbers. But if you're going to put Harold Baines in the Hall of Fame, why is Keith Hernandez not in the Hall of Fame?
Right.
Are you kidding me?
Why is Tommy John not in the Hall of Fame with
Tommy John should be in the Hall of Fame.
286 wins over,
Stupid.
almost 30 years in the big leagues,
Yeah.
and he had the surgery also. That
Yep.
And then the argument is, well, he only had 10 wins a season, but it's about longevity and numbers, right?
Absolutely.
He's going to win 300 games anymore.
Hey, you want to talk about that's silly, really, when you think about it. Look at the Cy Youngs anymore. Remember DeGrom a couple of years ago, Jacob DeGrom with the Mets? Right. I think he only had 13 wins for the season, and he won a Cy Young.
But yeah, and not that this matters, but he should have won about 19 or 20. He was losing
games?
1-0, 2-1.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Hey, let me ask you something, Jim. Do you have any idea how we end this podcast? Because I don't.
No. Well,
let's just keep going. I mean,
podcaster Pete is supposed to be there.
Oh, is he?
Where he went? So I
can hear him. He's talking. He's trying to line up some more podcasts. We're going to do We're going to do next week. We're going to do a podcast about podcasts.
A podcast about how to end it because Pete started it and then he walked away, and so I'm not where you are, so I can't see your screen. But there's got to be something there that says there's. Oh, wait a minute. Hold on. I think I got it.
Okay, good.
I got it. So we're going to sign off right now. I don't know why this is on my screen. I have no idea.
We'll see you next time.
We will see you next time.
Guys.
Adios.
See you.